Hi everyone, I'm delighted to welcome Frida on the podcast today. Frida will be joining us as a Spanish tutor at Arise in the new year. Frida, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Emma. Hi, everyone. My name is Frida Guerrero, and I'll be teaching Spanish with Arise Education since January. So I'm really happy to be joining. And then, yes, I am from Peru, native speaker of Spanish. So yes, like Paddington Bear, some people say, but here we are. I'm happy to be part of Arise.
But you're now in England, is that correct?
I live in England. I live in the south of England. I live in Wokingham, which is the south from Reading. And yes, I've lived here for now like nearly 10 years now. So I lived in Manchester as well in the past. And yes, for almost 10 years too. So just decided to move south for a bit more sunshine.
I can appreciate that. It's we're in Edinburgh and it's 4 o'clock and it's pretty much dark.
Yeah.
See, there's my
Fine.
light died on me. I thought it was going to happen. Let me just fix that and bring. That'll be. It's not ideal, but it's better than sitting in the dark.
Yes,
I get my
absolutely.
lighting right in this room. It's terrible. Um, so you teach Spanish just now in schools, is that correct?
That's right. So I've been teaching Spanish in the past uh, 10 plus years in around where I live in the south of England. I did completed my PGC in Manchester, the Manchester University, and then I had experience working in schools, in secondary school in Manchester. Then when I moved down, I did have work in some schools in the area in secondary school, but also had the opportunity to be a teacher of Key Stage 2 with year 5 and year 6 for a couple of years before I went to maternity. But yes, currently I'm working at a secondary school, local school in Wokingham. So yes.
Lovely. You've said that learning a language opens doors to new cultures, perspectives, and lifelong curiosity about the world. Can you explain this a bit further?
So yes, so if you speak language, uh, you when I talk about opening doors of opportunities, not just in the terms uh, um, of jobs, but we also look into doors for educate, not only further education, jobs opportunities, but also social opportunities to get to meet other cultures, other people, the ways of thinking, because it's interesting to when we speak one language, we're set on the norms of that culture, but when we learn another language, actually our minds open up, and the way of thinking of other
Mhm.
cultures, we can think in their own language, we can
Yeah.
share those ideas. Yes, and I think somebody said if uh, you speak someone in English, I think people will understand it. But if you speak in their own language, you'll be talking to their hearts.
Yes.
So it's not only being able to give you the opportunity to use another language and communicate, but also you'll be going to the level and you'll be understood, and they'll be able to also understand you to a deeper level than when
Mhm.
you speak another language. So yeah.
We found that in our church. My pastor married a Mexican woman, and so she's come over here, and her Spanish is her first language.
Hmm.
But this having the her husband speaks he's Scottish, but had already spoke Spanish, but he also spoke French, and our church has become such a multinational church. It's not in a city; it's in a small. It's just a town outside of Edinburgh. But this having um, the pastor's wife just having a different language really has opened us up, and we've got a lot of Spanish speakers coming to our church, even though the service is in English. I think it's just that it's like you said, that's that heart connection. They feel that, oh, well, we can come here, we can worship here because there's people that speak our language,
Yes,
and
and
there's that heart
you can
connection.
exchange experiences,
Yeah.
you can exchange traditions, you can exchange
Mhm.
food, for example. And I think it's yes, absolutely getting to learn other languages. For Spanish, I'd say, well, like French is spoken in so many countries like English, and
Mhm.
Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world after Mandarin. So
Yeah.
I think English officially is the third one, but it's mostly widely spoken, and Spanish is most spoken per inhabitant. So
Yeah.
as the whole of Latin America speaks Spanish,
Hmm.
apart from Spain, and I think there's an opportunity out there not only for work opportunities, I said, but also to get to know different cultures. In Latin America is so rich in cultures
Yeah.
as well as Spain. And yes, I think I've got an opportunity now to share that with students, and then for them to know, to learn about the cultures and the way of thinking as well. So yeah.
My 16-year-old son, not this summer past, but last summer, he had the opportunity to go to Spain for a youth camp,
Great.
with an organisation called Word of Life. So he went with a small group of Scottish teens, and it was a huge camp, and it was all in Spanish. So the youth leader who took them over, he I think he's from, actually no, he's German, but he's done missions in South America, and so speaks fluent Spanish. And he was translating everything to them. But my son said he came back and the culture in Spain just touched his heart. He
Oh,
absolutely loved the culture. He said the warmth of the people just was, it was beautiful. He said they were these they were, a lot of them are a wee bit older than him at this camp, and they were so welcoming, and it was just so friendly.
yes.
He found the culture, the difference between the Scottish culture and the Spanish culture. He loved it, and he
Yeah.
actually was like he wants to now go and he said since then he wants to spend a year
Wow.
living in a Spanish speaking country because the
And it's
culture just blew him away.
absolutely. I think when you have that opportunity and you go and see the different ways of doing things as well, and also the culture is yes is different to England or Scotland or Germany. I think the Hispanic world is and you see with not only Spain but Mexico. I think in general we tend to be very quite open, and we love to to get to know more people, and if they show an interest in our culture, we love to share that with them. So I think that's something that we as Hispanics we love to share our culture, we love to share our traditions, our food. So yes, absolutely, I think if he has the opportunity to go and live in Spain, he's going to be doing really really
Yeah.
well, because we love people, to share with people.
You're from Peru. How is Peru different from other Spanish speaking countries?
So Peru is different from Mexico and Spain, because Peru historically is the birthplace of the Incan culture. So we have different civilizations in Latin America and South America. Well, Mexico has the Aztecs, the Mayas in North America, and in South America, the Incas were the biggest civilization at the time before the arrival of the Spanish. So that's why Peru speaks Spanish, because we had at the whole of Central America, South America, we speak Spanish because of the colonization. However, before that, Peru, we still remain our heritage of Incan culture. We have not only Incan but different subcultures as well, because we have different. Our geography is so vast and different to other places. Like we have uh, the coast, we have the highlands, the Andes, and then we
Mhm.
also have cultures from the Amazon as well.
Mhm.
So in that sense, it's different to Mexico, it's different to Argentina, not only geographically but also culturally.
Mhm.
So we've got a lot of heritage of before the Spaniards arrived, and people still we still were very jealous, and we still love our previous culture. And we if you see in South America, I think it's Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador, we still remain a high percentage of with native Incan, let's say, blood, and then we have, yes, in that sense we're different, and
Mhm.
then Spanish language, our accent, people tend to say that it's quite neutral compared with, because we also have different accents in
Yeah.
South America. So we have different accents from Argentina, Venezuela, Mexico, but of course I'm going to be biased, but I think people tend to say that The accent from Peru is more like neutral. We don't really have a strong accent, so that's a plus for me and for my students. But
Where
also in terms of accent, it's yes, it's different as well.
where would have the strongest accent?
Where do they have the strongest accent in South
Yeah.
America? I think people tend to say generally either from Argentina or Venezuela because they speak so fast. And I think the hardest one, I think, is Chile because they speak so fast that people tend to say that yeah, we they don't speak Spanish as a joke, of course, right? But I think the accent varies from Venezuela to Argentina and Chile. We have very marked different accents. But of course, if you learn the language, you still and you have the same grammatical
Mhm.
structure and the word vocabulary, but the accent may vary. But I think when I'm doing my lessons, I tend to always um, explain to students, oh, this is the accent from Spain, this is the accent from Central Latin America, and emphasis and explain to students the difference in accents as well, so they are
Mhm.
aware of those differences.
Yeah, it's just like in English how we have the English
Same,
accent,
exactly.
American accent, the
Australian,
Australia. Yeah.
New Zealand, yes, exactly. That's the same. It's the same.
One of our visions at Rise is to raise missionally minded kids. How can Spanish help with this?
So learning another language is, as I said earlier, open doors to opportunities. But in the terms of missionary, it's a whole world out there. So many countries out there where, if we want to think about missionary, that we can bring a mission to different countries in Latin America, Spanish-speaking countries. It's so vast. It's so vast. Not only from Central America, North America, Mexico, South America, different so many countries, and also the Caribbean, because there are so many countries that speak Spanish in the Caribbean, like Dominican Republic, Cuba. And I think for places like Cuba, for example, currently there is, as we know, it's a communist country, and
Mhm.
Christianity has become really Christians have gone through so many hard times because, as we know, communism they can express their own beliefs. So it's been hard for them, and I think for missionaries in the future we could open doors to
Mm.
get to those places that are where the word of God is has been blocked in the past. So in my own experience, I visited Cuba a few, perhaps 10 years ago, and I could see that yes, there's a need. There's a need for missionaries, people that actually want to share. And times are changing, governments are changing, political views are changing, and people are realizing that actually there's a massive revival in South America, and for I think that opens doors for missionary work for the children that are now, that in the future they'll be the future missionaries, and there is so much work to do out there and so many opportunities like countries like Cuba, for example.
Yeah. Even in my pastor's wife, she says that in Mexico, though, well, it's obviously a Catholic nation,
Absolutely.
um, there's such an open door for the gospel, but
Yes.
she finds she's got a real heart for evangelism, and the difference sharing the gospel in Scotland to in Mexico is vast. She's
Yes.
got a heart to reach young people, and the children in Mexico, they're just so open to hearing
Absolutely.
the gospel, whereas
I
it's
agree.
much harder here
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
And then there's different needs within a lot of the Latin American countries. There's a poverty is a huge
Absolutely.
problem.
Yes. And I think uh, it's a good opportunity to bless all
Mhm.
the countries as well. So it's being missionaries and going there and then sharing only the word of God, which is the biggest blessing they could be, but also for them to support and to help communities, people
Mhm.
and communities. But like you said, like in Mexico, the need is vast, and so is in South America, different countries like Peru, Bolivia, where there's immense opportunities to do less others. And like you said, Catholicism is the is the official language in the Hispanic world.
Mhm.
However, like I said earlier, there's a massive revival. People are open to have a connection with God, to
Mhm.
have a direct relationship with God. And I think what this is, you know, is a good big opportunity for us to share the word of God, and to to be to send missionaries
Mhm.
to the world, because they are, I think it's like the rest of the world, but is hungry for more, to have a real encounter with God. So there are so many opportunities out there, and because the Hispanic world is vast, it's huge.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, as a teacher, as a language teacher in the UK, you'll really know that language learning in general is in decline. What is
Absolutely.
your response to those who say that we don't need to learn a language, that there are apps to help you, and what's really the point of putting all this hard work into learning a language?
I think it's the attitude, because most of my students like, what do I need to learn another language? I speak English wherever I go in the world. They speak English already. Why do I need to make the effort? And I said, well, first of all, because not only it open doors opportunities, but also it's good for our brain.
Mhm.
If we look at it from a neurological point of view, it if there are studies, research that has been done that a bilingual brain works differently to a monolingual one. And I'm not saying that monolingual is bad. I'm just saying that learning another language, it, um, it motivates our brain to think more, to analyze,
Mhm.
to be able to think in a different language. It's a lot. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for people, not only uh, to be able to go and do business, but also I think from a we learned how to think. We our neurons build, it helps build new neurons, and it's, I think there's so plenty of research out there that actually sort of prevents Alzheimer. So I think
Mhm.
the benefit for learning another language, not only in the social aspect or the job opportunities, but also I think physically, and for our mental health, I think is quite good. And I would say that attitude that, I don't need to learn, well, why not? It's always a challenge. It's always to go out there and be able to grow, not only as a person, but also as culturally, but also I think to be able to academically is also so important out there. Some universities require a language to give students a place to study at university. So I think it's a not only an opportunity, but also enriches you as a person. General culture, it does help you to view the world, because we are now living in a global world. I
Yeah.
can be here now, and I could be talking to someone in the Arctic or the Antarctic, anywhere in the world. So speaking a language is not only going to give me these skills, it's a life skill, because it's a skill that you can take with you wherever you want.
Mhm.
So I would say my students, if you learn to think and you are able to communicate, the opportunities are vast, and also helps with our brain. It helps us
Yeah.
develop so many skills.
Mhm. You think about so many professionals that their field of work isn't languages, but they
Mhm.
end up working in an international environment, which is more and more we're in a global world where having that second language, it does open those doors. You're able to
Absolutely.
communicate with so many more people,
And
and
also
and
opportunities for
it's that
jobs.
heart, yeah, it's those opportunities for jobs, but it's also that heart connection. You
Absolutely.
don't have that heart connection
Yeah.
from doing Google Translate.
No, absolutely not. And when I was, I had a chat with my one of my head teacher, and was like, "Well, what do you think now? Because everything is going, everything is artificial intelligence, and so many things are being taking over by artificial intelligence." And I'm like, "Yes, but a language is something that's social. We are human beings, and being social is our nature. So." Even if we have a Google Translator, which is, by the way, not very accurate at all, I don't. I think this is a language is a way of connecting as well. It's being able to connect with people, and if we're living in a time where it's a global world, we are communicating with people, and we are using the language to not only get jobs, but also
Mhm.
to be able to study, to travel abroad, uh, go on holidays, go and work in Bolivia, in Chile, in Patagonia. If you're, and this is what I was telling my sixth form students. I was saying, whatever whatever career you choose, career path, if you have a language, there's going to be so many more opportunities than
Yeah.
someone who's monolingual, because you can be a scientist, you can find more opportunities having more than one language, and the same for any really career, any career in the world. So if you want to do, if you're interested in biology, you're going to have so many opportunities and so many opportunities out there. I've got students who have learned, have been studying biology, and now they are working in Costa Rica because they also speak a language. So I think it's I think having a language, I think, is um it's not very appreciated, and I think it's something that, as in these countries, what I've noticed. But if you go to the countries like Finland, they speak like 3, 4 languages. You go
Wow.
to Switzerland, they speak 4 languages in a daily. You see on the cereal boxes 4 different languages, and people are they speak more than 1 or 2 languages. So I think that shows a bit of a attitude as as a country, as people as well, that we have, and we need to be able to embrace. The more languages you know, the better you're off, really.
Yeah, so even if you're not going to be working abroad, you are
Absolutely.
going to encounter in your working life people who speak other languages. If you're working
Absolutely.
in hospitals, you're going to have people, and obviously you can't learn every possible language that you're going to have, but just choosing one language and running with that, it
Yeah,
will that enrichment, that mental enrichment, the cognitive enrichment, the cultural enrichment, and ability to connect
absolutely.
with more people is just, it's invaluable. It's never
Absolutely.
going to be something you're going to regret. You're never going to sit down in 10 years time, I you know what, I wish I'd never learned Spanish.
Absolutely. I think, like, yes, I would say, I was gonna say, languages, that languages in, I think in England is underrated, and I think as a United Kingdom, I think we need to realize that other countries in Europe, they are learning English. I mean, they can communicate with us, but how about us? Want to go and work for the United Nations, or for the European Union? Uh, they're always going to be someone who speaks another language. But why can't we do the same? Like, we also were able, we have the ability. Where every brain, everyone has got the ability to learn a language, and I think it's something that sometimes we people don't appreciate so so much, like maybe they should.
I was telling my 6-year-old I was coming to do this podcast with you, and she wanted to join me because she thought you were
Oh,
Spanish.
oh, bless her. Of course.
Come and do Spanish.
Oh,
Spanish today.
oh, bless her. I do tutor. So I've got a friend of mine who's from the Caribbean. I can't remember which country. Barbados, and the husband is from Wales. And I tutor their son, who uh, both mom and dad have learned Spanish at some point, so they know they want to carry. They want the kids to carry on with the language, and they need to learn. So they sometimes, on purpose, they speak in Spanish on purpose so that they can practice another language. They've been to Spain and so on, but I've been tutoring for a few years, since he was, must have been 4 or 5 years old, and now he's 7, 8, and he does know a lot vocabulary. So they've been on holidays now, and he's like, "Oh wow, I went here, I went there, and I used this phrase, and I used this word." I'm like,
Oh,
"There you go. You can actually use your language in real life. Makes a difference."
yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your class introduction to Spanish?
So we are going to start afresh, like from zero. I'm not, if some people have learned the language, even better, but I think I'm not assuming. We're going to start fresh, from basics, from starting from greetings, to talk about uh, our family, being able to do numbers, and be able to cover all the basic structures, because we want to build it into later on, perhaps give opportunity for students who want to carry on later on in GCSEs, take it. So all the basic vocabulary that we need to, in basic vocabulary, in days of the week, months, greetings, being able to talk about the verb to be in Spanish, being able to conjugate verbs. So we're going to build on that, and to the point that we are able to use a few tenses, different tenses. We're going to be able to talk in the present. We're going to be able to talk in the past and in the future, because I think these uh, structures will give you the opportunity to also uh, be prepared if students want to carry on to the next level, be able to do GCSEs later on. Then they have these skills, and we are going to cover the 4 skills: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. that we need to be able to master.
Mhm.
So yes, and I think with my lessons, we're gonna try to use real resources, materials that we use in real materials that we use in daily life. Be able to cover that vocabulary as preparation for, as a good, to have a good base, solid base to build on later on more complex structures.
Wonderful. What age would be this class? What age would be suitable to take this class?
So all the students that want to, that it would be in key stage 3 or key stage pre-key stage 4, or just starting key stage 4,
Mhm.
would say it would be a good opportunity, because GCSE students need to tend to be doing it in years 11, which is
Mhm.
around 15 years old. So anyone who is uh, he wants to do GCSEs later on, I think it would be from 10, 11 to 15.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Frida. That was really great speaking to you today.
Really
I
nice
really
to meet
enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for
you.
your time.
Thank you. No worries. A pleasure.